Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite podcast. If you are listening, if you are watching on the day that this drops, wow, that was just like all one word. On the day that this drops, it is Monday, December 2nd. Welcome to December. All right, this shit goes by fast. I don't have a ton of life updates. I do like doing these, though, because I know I like listening to them when I am listening to other people's podcasts, so I'm going to do the little ones that I have. 2 days from now, I will be, Lex and I will both be heading to my sister's house for Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday. Yes, this is one of those, because all my episodes are this way, one of the record in the past, drop it in the future, you listen in the present kind of episodes. But Thanksgiving has not happened as of the day I'm recording this. It is my favorite holiday. I love going to see my family. And you folks know that I also do Thanksgiving in July, courtesy of Jill. She does Christmas in July. We do Thanksgiving in July. And it's just like eat good food, dance. I play some guitar. We hang out. Like we'll probably play Magic the Gathering. We'll go outside. It's going to be like 1 degree there, but it's fine. But I love it. So I'm really excited for that. My brother's birthday, one of my brothers, Justin, his birthday is actually on Christmas. So Christmas to me has always been about him. Like it just like never was the biggest holiday. Like we did gifts and like we always did a tree and things like that. But I don't know, just for me, it's not like the biggest holiday. Thanksgiving is like, that's my shit. So excited for that. Speaking of birthdays, my birthday is coming up. So Justin's is on Christmas and then my birthday is New Year's Day. And I will be 40 this year. So just like the fact that it's already December 2nd, time be flying, so let's all make the most of it. I'm hoping to keep, and I say this in like the best way possible, I'm hoping to keep this episode shorter because I got to get back to work. Speaking of making the most of it, and here I am like, and I got to work, but I got to get shit done so I can fully enjoy the Thanksgiving break. But I have been sitting at my desk for all the hours and moving the course in my on-demand webinars over from moving them from Crowdcast to Kajabi for my Cyber Monday sale. Like we all know, we need like deadlines and specific actions in order to make us do things. In this case, I was like, okay, I'll do some stuff for Cyber Monday, which is going to be done by the time you hear this episode. But I just been meaning to move them over anyway, and I was like, all right, let me just do that. Actually, what happened was my Crowdcast was supposed to renew, and I was like, I don't want to pay this again because I don't fucking use it. It's a great platform, but I just don't use it. I don't do webinars in the way that I was, and I can use Zoom. Crowdcast is objectively better just specifically for webinars, but I just don't use it enough. So I paused that, moving the things over. But as long as these tasks are taking as much time as they are taking, I actually really enjoy them. And I think that it's so cool that we can do this stuff on our own. Like, yes, if you want to outsource it, go ahead, outsource it. But I really like doing this, like all of it, right? If I think back to like how I made the thing, there's literally everything about it. I recorded I went live from my house using internet, using a DSLR camera, streaming, and then it recorded it, and then I could sell it through that platform, and then it lived there, and then now I have downloaded it from that platform, and I use Adobe, which is like high-level software, to chop it up and make it into chapters or modules, if you will, for an online course, and I can upload those to Kajabi. And I did use AI. I'm not even gonna lie. I used AI to help out with the chapter summaries. If you're not doing that, what are you doing, folks? Like, it doesn't have to be like some like big long thing. And so I think certain things AI is better for, is really good for. And when I want it to sound very straightforward, AI is great for that. So using AI for that, using ChatGPT for that, and then I can market this thing and sell it through my email software platform, ConvertKit. I use all of this from my house. Right? I'm recording this episode with this camera, with this light that's a little bit bright, and I'm sorry about that light in the background. We're getting banding. I've talked about it in past episodes. It happens. I can't try to fix that right now. I'm too tired. But all that from my house. Like, what a fucking time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Like, yes, there are a lot of wild shit going on, but also what a time to be alive. And I really enjoy being able to do this on my own. So that's what I've been spending like all my time doing. Sometimes I'm like, I would rather just sit here and scroll Instagram and Threads for hours, but we got shit to do. So hopefully I'm going to try and keep this episode shorter. But last update, thank you for the responses to last week's episode. That was episode 635, my post-election reflections. And just heard back from a good number of you, and it was just really, really great. You are my people. I am so grateful that you take the time to listen to this. Like, you give me your time. That is definitely your most valuable resource. So thank you. All right. So today's message, the point of today's episode is actually a message that I shared with my Mafia family first. So thank you, Mafia family, for helping me get that out of my head. I write an email to the Mafia. And Mafia is my private membership, if you will. We'll call it that. And I write to them every Monday. I do a recap of whatever happened in the Facebook group, and I share a musing every single Monday. And yesterday's musing was about the Jeep wave. And I was like, you know what? Let's make this the podcast episode, because I want to share this message with the world. And we all know, you and I both know, the entire world listens to this podcast. So here we are. But we're going to talk about the Jeep wave. Right? Before we start, just a little, it's not a disclaimer, just a little understanding for all of you folks. When people or I say Jeep, it only means Jeep Wrangler. Right? Don't shoot the messenger. This is how it is. If you're talking about a Cherokee, a Grand Cherokee, a Gladiator, a Compass, whatever, you got to say the model name. All right? You can't just say Jeep. Jeep, just the make, that is reserved for Wranglers. But it doesn't matter if you have a 2-door or 4-door, it's a Jeep. Right? I don't make the rules. Okay? So just so you know, when I'm talking about the Jeep wave, the only people who do the Jeep wave are people that have Wranglers. I'm just putting it out there, okay? So if you own a Jeep, or you've been with somebody who owns a Jeep, then you may know that there's a thing called the Jeep wave. If you're watching right now, you can see me doing it. Imagine that I'm driving, right? I'm sitting there driving on the road and just pop you with one of those. Maybe you want to go over. I just covered the microphone, so I don't know how that ended up sounding, but I pretended the microphone was the steering wheel. If you want to jump on over to YouTube and see the Jeep wave, you can do it there. But the Jeep wave is something you do when you drive past another Jeep, right? You wave. Usually it's 2 fingers, not like doing flying out of the seat. It's literally like 2 fingers. You whatever hands on the steering wheel, you usually just raise 2 fingers, and it's just like, hey, what's up? Jeep, Jeep. Fun story. When I first decided that I wanted a Jeep, right? When I first moved to California, I've always wanted a Jeep, but when I moved to California, I was like, I'm getting one now. So I went one day after CrossFit, I went and I was like, I'm going to go and look at Jeeps, because I had an Aztec, which I loved. I had a Pontiac Aztec, and it was like, it needed a new gas tank, and they don't make that car anymore. So it was like really hard to get one. And the guy was like, hey, obviously the car's paid off. And I was like, should I get a new car? He's like, I wouldn't. He's like, but it's up to you. He's like, we have to wait to get the new part. And I really trusted him as a mechanic. But I was like, I want a Jeep. And I had a day or whatever at CrossFit. And I was like, all right, let me just go look. We all know how go look turns out, right? So I went there and I test drove a Jeep. And no sooner, I was test driving, no sooner did I turn out of the parking lot to get onto the road, there was a woman, a middle-aged woman in a maroon Jeep. I'll never forget. She was turning out of a parking lot across the way. It wasn't related to the, to the dealership, but there's another parking lot, and she was turning out, and she hit me with the Jeep wave. And I was like, oh my God, for me? For little me? Now, I do not believe that person was planted, but honestly, they should. It is an immediate sell. You know how I know? Because I drove Peggy off the showroom floor just a few hours later. If you folks don't know, Peggy is my Jeep, it's the name of my Jeep. And she was fresh off the showroom floor. So that Jeep wave, it works, right? I do believe that I do believe this is a fact, right? The past few weeks, the air has been heavier. There's been a heaviness in the air. And I think it's lifting. Not that I'm trying to by any means rush it, but, time makes things change, right? But that heaviness definitely inspired the thought about the Jeep wave and that M4 email and subsequently this email. So while the Jeep wave is a universal thing, it's not universally performed, right? Meaning not everyone does it. And I have noticed that I definitely am more likely to receive a Jeep wave inland from where I live right? Despite the fact that there are so many Jeeps where I live, right? So I live in Redondo Beach. I live on the coast. Like I live in a beach town. There are so many Jeeps here. It's like a bazillion Teslas and Jeeps. Whereas when you go inland, there's not as many Jeeps, but like everybody's waving there. And I do think that there's a reason for this. I think that a lot of the people that have Jeeps where I live, they're either teenagers, right? There's a lot of wealth here. So I bought that car when I was 30. Meanwhile, these teenagers are getting it. I know, no judgment. But I think there's a lot of teenagers that have them. And I think, honestly, there's a lot of moms that have them who wanted G-Wagons. Y'all know I got nothing against moms, but I do think that there are I see some of these Jeeps and I'm like, that really looks like you wanted a G-Wagon and y'all were like, that's too much money. So we're going to get this like very tactical looking vehicle that's significantly less money. Right. And so I don't expect either of those parties to be, doing the Jeep Wave or honestly knowing about the Jeep Wave. When you move inland or you go inland, a lot of the folks there who have Jeeps, they really enjoy the Jeep culture, right? They have the Jeep, they probably modded it out themselves, change all the parts on it. And some of them maybe just like me where they're just mall crawling and others are actually like going off road. But either way, they are like in the Jeep community. They know about the Wave. They really love doing the Wave, right? So suffice to say, there is a Wave. I think more people do it inland, but either way, the story today is about this Wave that isn't universal, but isn't performed universally, right? So the long and the short here is that whenever you see a Jeep and you know about the Jeep Wave, you now have two options, right? So these people's moms and the teenagers, I don't think they know about it, right? But if you do know about the Jeep Wave, you're driving a Jeep, you got two options. You can either wave first, or you can wait for the other person to wave, and then you wave back. Or if they don't wave, then you can still wave, or maybe you don't wave at all, right? Y'all already know, here comes the bigger life lesson. So I made the decision long ago to just be someone who always waves first. And I'm waving. You got a Jeep, you're getting a wave, right? To the point where I did used to rent a good number of cars just because I was traveling for work. And I would be driving a rental car waving, and I'm like, no one's waving back. And I'm like, oh, because I'm not in a fucking Jeep. I'm in like a fucking Chrysler like sedan. Like, of course they're not waving back, right? But the point, being here, I made that decision. I am going to wave. Why? Like, I cannot control anyone else's actions. I'm not responsible for their actions, right? And I am not out here waving and, or not waving and saving my joy only for folks who are going to reciprocate. This is very similar to me for like when if you ever decide to give money to like a homeless person. What they do with that money is a reflection of them, not you. Whether or not you give is a reflection of you, on you, is what reflects on you. And I'm not here to pass judgment one way or another. I'm making the point that you can't be like, here's money, but only if you use it in this way. Like, that's not what it's about. It's, here's money. I'm giving it. This is my responsibility. This is how I'm taking responsibility for, rather, is giving you this money. What you do, that's on you. If you're trying to be like, I'm giving it to you, but only if you do this and this, then just don't give it at all. Right? Just don't give it at all. I like to do things because it matters to me. I try to encourage people that I work with to do things because it matters to them. I wave because it matters to me. Waving is a what is the word? Tangible, I guess, way of sharing my joy. Right? And just being like, how fucking dope it is. How fucking dope is it? It is. Wow. How fucking dope is it to drive a Jeep? And you folks know I fucking love that car. The person on the other end, the receiving end of that wave, they can agree, they can disagree. Hell, like, they may not have even seen it, which is why I don't people get all bent out of shape. Like, maybe they're busy. They just didn't fucking see you wave. And you can't just be like, I'm only going to do it if they wave back. Like, that's on them. What they do, that's on them. This is, again, something that I try to instill in folks that I work with, and the tangible example there is that I give them, or that I'm usually talking about, is with social media and sharing on social media. And it kind of grinds my gears. It's like, most people I work with, they're past this, but I do get every now and then people that haven't really worked through this, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, if you are only sharing because other people might care, or because you want clapping, you're gonna fucking stop. Right? You're gonna stop because people aren't gonna clap. You gotta share because you care. You gotta share because it matters to you. Yes. Does it feel great when someone else waves back? Yes. Does it feel great when someone likes your post or comments on your post? Yes, for sure. But those things are bonuses. I would love for you to see them as bonuses. And not even like the icing on the cake, because I don't know who made that phrase, because like the icing is literally the best part of the cake. And I'm like, wait, that analogy doesn't really work. It's more like someone handing you a napkin when you're eating a cupcake. And you're like, oh, thank you, because it's had some crumbs. So now I can like put the crumbs on there. It's nice. It's helpful. Right? But that's it. It's just like a bonus. Yeah. So earlier in this episode, I referenced wanting to spend all day scrolling, but like also a part of me doesn't, because it is just like so angry. People are angry. They're angry, they're lonely, they're sad. We know the algorithms push this, right? If it bleeds, it leads. And I'm just like, And I do think that we're going to continue to see this and maybe see more of it, just because, at least from the top down, right? When I say top down, I mean the government and like not that the government's fucking here to save us, but like leadership does set culture, and I don't foresee a change in a good direction. So, from the top down, I don't see things getting better, but from the bottom up, which is us, it's you, it's me, I think we can make things better, right? We have a choice, and I am going to choose to wave first every single time. Right? I'm going to be the one who initiates it. I'm going to be the one to share my joy because it matters to me. If they wave back, awesome. If they don't, that's fine too. It's on them. And as it relates to how you, dear listener, dear viewer, show up, I hope you choose to do the same. All right. Like I said, trying to keep this one short. I got a lot of work to do. And part of me is like, I'd rather just talk. This is way more fun, but got to get the work done. And as always, y'all, I love hearing from you. I'm super grateful that you take the time to listen. You reach out. Just thank you. Endlessly, endlessly, endlessly appreciative. All right. That's all I got for you. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.